Okay, I want to discuss the idea of punditry, especially on the internet at the moment. Punditry, as I've discussed before, is when someone tries to sell a particular argument or point of view. Naturally, if you've been around on the internet as long as I have, or as long as you have, you've probably been exposed to a wide variety of different ideas and points of view. After a while, you get to realize that a lot of the things which are being expressed on the internet are, in fact, a form of punditry. Now, that can be bad because essentially, although freedom of speech is a great thing, there can be difficulties when there's attempts by, let's say, your viewers to try and get closer to the actual facts. The process of doing scientific research from an academic standpoint, even if it is just being done on the internet, is just very similar to doing an experiment, an actual proper scientific experiment. Obviously, you perform, your particular set of activities, whether it's with chemicals or physical processes or social environments, if you're doing social science, in a particular controlled way, okay, with that extra factor in each and every single, run through, as it were, which you're trying to test. And you, of course, look at the results and you collect academic data or statistical data from that. And you then do a certain number of conditions without that one particular factor you're trying to test. And then, of course, you can see from the results and the data that you get from your experimental condition and your control condition, whether your initial hypothesis, which you would have started to investigate, actually has some form of validity. Okay, so this is rather interesting from a scientific experimental standpoint. Now, if you're doing something which is more to do with ideas, you're experimenting with ideas, okay, you're looking into different people's ideas. Let's say you wanted to try and do everything purely from a scientific standpoint and only look at scientific papers or experiments, then you would have to look at different scientific papers. Okay, you'd have to look at all the ones which promoted your hypothetical standpoint and all the ones which contradicted your particular hypothetical standpoint, and from that try and work out what is both right and wrong with each and every single study. Okay, and then come to a conclusion as to whether your initial hypothesis was correct. If you're only sticking with one particular point of view within that particular broadcast that you're doing when you're criticizing or exploring these particular ideas, there's a possibility that there may in fact be something wrong with what you are expressing. Namely, you could actually be being either knowingly or unknowingly dishonest. And I myself have made the occasional mistake in the past. I'll not deny it. But of course, when someone is promoting that they are a scientific individual, or a highly scientific or highly educated individual or a highly rational individual, it does become necessary once in a while to actually look at ideas which contradict their own, so as to grow in terms of their own understanding. I mean, I myself had to explore ideas which were contrary to my own when I came on the internet in order to get a much more rounded point of view as to various different subjects, which has enabled this particular channel to become basically what it is today. I personally have found that the internet is a great place to grow up. However, some people do tend to stick with a rather myopic or short-sighted point of view and to stick with it because they feel it is somehow right or cool to stick with their particular standpoint, despite the fact that there may be problems with the way in which they're actually looking at the world. So if anyone out there wants to challenge my ideas, make sure you understand both sides of the argument, because mine are based on both sides of the argument.